Try anything and you're canceled, bro.
Oh, fuck.
Hi guys, welcome to the show. I'm Manny.
Terrence.
And today we are going to talk about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022.
I don't know why we're doing this.
How did you, okay, well, first of all, this actually takes place after the events of the 1974 version. So this is a legacy sequel in that it is going to be a direct sequel to the original, which means that part 2 and 3 and all those other ones, even the one with Matthew McConaughey, sorry, bro, all of those are wiped out and do not exist. So this is where we leave off. Well, obviously back in Texas. So let's go ahead and talk about the goods and the bads. Now, we're going to break these down, not necessarily as detailed as we do in our You Don't Hate, but enough details where we can actually let you know whether it's good, bad, it's all right. We don't know. We'll find that. We'll figure that part out at the end. So, Terrence, why don't we go over the goods of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre? Go first.
Let's make this singular. The good of this movie. Hey, look. I will say the kills of this movie were probably the best things that this movie did. It's the one thing this movie did right. It had some brutal kills. And we always put up the spoiler warning. So the trailer hints to some of the brutality that happens in this film. But when you see it on screen, it's like, wow, they really did a good job. Whoever storyboarded those out or had the vision to think about the kills that happened in it. It was like, it's inventive. It was really creative. From when he massacred everybody on the bus, but nobody got off while he was killing people. That was really, really creative. Even the setup of the bus scene to where they played on the fact that we're all so tied to our cell phones that if a mass maniac got on the bus to kill us, we would just pull out our cell phones to be the person who recorded the event, as opposed to actually saving our own lives or doing something to stop the thing from happening.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and sacrifice ourselves for likes.
Yeah, there you
and
go.
retweets.
Man, I am
and
gonna
comments
go so viral.
and viral. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. What next?
Continuing on with the kills. So escaping the bus, the whole cutting a person in half, that was really, really cool. The early kill, when he killed her and when he busted the window and he killed her in the seat, and I thought that was a really cool kill. The very final kill, which I thought was a great shot, because normally when you have somebody who gets decapitated, it goes from real to really, really fake in the blink of an eye. You're like, oh, that's not them, right? This one, the camera work and the CGI on it, they went from her screaming to taking the chainsaw and her still screaming to her head off, and you're like, oh, I think he really murdered her. Is that actress okay? Because I think she's really dead. He killed her in that scene. That wasn't fake. So the kills for me were the goods of this movie, and that is all I have.
Wow.
I have nothing else good about this movie to say. This movie, I say you can't hate a movie, but I did not like this movie.
Okay. The goods for me was also the kills as well. The special effects, the practical effects.
Yeah.
The ambulance scene where he breaks the dude's arm and kills him with his own bone was freaking awesome. It reminded me of the thumb to the forehead in Halloween 4, but it was really really creative in that. There are so many things that were creative as far as the kills and all of that. It's kind of hard for me to say. Obviously, to see Leatherface back is always a great thing. You know, when you have these horror icons, and some would argue Leatherface being the one that started it all, which it's Norman Bates to me. But you know, I don't think there's a Halloween without Leatherface. So there's that tie there. But always good to see another horror icon and you know, get that feeling from the 80s back to seeing him back. So that was cool. I wasn't too keen. We'll talk about it in the bads, but the design of his mask and all of that we could talk about that in the bads. I thought the oh man, I guess that's it.
Told you we should have went singular. Good.
There's gotta be
the good. The good of this movie.
how did you feel about the pacing? Did you think that the pacing was okay for this, or do you think it was too fast
Look,
or too slow? I'm sorry.
every horror movie should move fast. If they have you sit and lingering on too much plot and story, then you start to think about things. Everything should be so fast that you can't think about why it doesn't make sense. And this movie made me think about why it didn't make sense. So I'm going to say the pacing was too slow.
Okay.
Because I kept thinking about, like, why is this happening? How does this actually make sense? Or, like, how the time doesn't even make sense. And
Okay,
it was like,
all right, we'll get into the bads in a minute. And you were talking about, obviously the kills, the gore, the practical effects, and all that stuff. Well, Fede Alvarez, who did 2013's Evil Dead and Don't Breathe, he's behind this. He produced this movie, so
I can see that.
You can see a lot of his style in it. And I thought the bus scene, which even though it was reminiscent of the firefighter scene in Halloween Kills, it kind of stands on its own. And the way that scene was shot we'll get into the bads about the scene also, but there was a lot of good in that scene. And they went John Wick style, and he broke the wall to get the chainsaw out, because I guess it was kind of like one of those things where, yeah, it's safe to say I'm back. But, trying to get rid of the past, but you know what? He brings it back. So,
man, I didn't even write that down.
A lot of that was cool. So kudos to them for attempting that. And honestly, off the top of my head, that's all I could think of, honestly, as far as the good. So let's get into the bads right now.
Let's go back to that chainsaw.
Okay, go ahead.
Since we're on the bads.
Well, we're in the goods right now still.
No, we're on the bads.
Oh, we're
on the bads.
Okay.
Do you have some more goods?
No.
We're on the bads.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. Wait. Yes, I do. I do have a good. That is one of the best endings I've seen in a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie ever.
Yes.
You just described it with the
yes.
the lead getting her
Yes.
head cut is one of the most like you said, you couldn't really tell. And
No.
I heard a interview that she had where she was talking about, I guess she was wearing a green.
When they reattached her head.
She was wearing. I know, right? When she was wearing the green suit, obviously, so they can take her stuff out and her body out and all that. So kudos to them for that scene alone. Like I said, one of the best endings in Chainsaw franchise history. So. Got to give credit to that. I love that they brought John Larroquette back to narrate the intro. He was the original narrator of not just the 1974 version, but even the Michael Bay remake. And it's always good to to see Dan from Night Court back, to hear him. So
I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, that's him. So it was great to have him back. So that is going to probably be that's going to probably cap off my goods on this movie.
Good. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah.
So that's the end of the goods.
That's it.
The bads.
The bads. Here we go. All right.
So let's talk about that chainsaw.
All
right. So once again, we did get the spoiler alert, and we're gonna talk about the post-credit scene. Where
you want to go that far?
We're gonna start there because the chainsaw thing is in my head right now.
Okay, go ahead.
So
before you lose it, go.
Before I lose it. So he goes back to the house, right?
Right.
Why was the damn chainsaw in the wall over there? Why isn't it not at the house? Why is it the exact same chainsaw?
Continuity.
Would it be in the house, wouldn't it? And he was like, all right, baby, we're going to move all the way over to this broke down town, even though the house is within walking distance because he walked there. The house is in walk. We're going to go over to this town, and what you going to do, baby, is you're going to seal your chainsaw up inside the wall. In case we need it. Just in case we can just leave it out, just in case. No, seal it up in the wall, baby.
I'm going to stop right there. What if it was more along the lines of the Sawyers, I guess, whatever they were. The Sawyers are gone. You're coming to live with us. I'm adopting you, whatever. And I know you've done bad, or you whatever you think you've done bad. Because we actually had a show where we said Leatherface was not evil, because he's not. That's just how he was raised to think that was okay to do. So I'm not. I still down the hill on that one. But we're gonna put this away. This is part of your past. It's a new beginning. We're gonna put this away.
Why'd you leave it at the house?
I don't know. And they put it away, and that was it. Okay, all right, go ahead.
So, Manny had to tell me that this was the original Leatherface. From the movie, I could not gather that. He was way too young. He was way too young, because even if you could say, like, hey, in 74, he was in a full-grown man. Let's just say he's 18. in 74. That dude's like damn near 50.
Okay, so 1874.
He's like
plus
48.
40, so he'd be like almost 60 years old.
Old man.
If in fact he was 18 in 74.
He looks like he was 20 in this movie.
I agree with you.
He looks like he was 20 in this movie. So I kept being confused because of like, so what's the purpose of skinning the face? What's the purpose of the chainsaw if he's not the same person? Because he didn't come off to be the same person. And I mean, kind of went him a little bit of a diet too, because it was like he was a little more portly in the original film than he was in this one. And he must be on Rogaine because he kept all his hair. But they never really, and maybe I missed it because there were some parts where I was kind of like tuning out in this movie. They never really confirmed to me to say, hey, he is the exact same person. It seemed like this was another child that she had that was raised, that just like, hey, you were my last child that's still left. Okay, so you're my last child that I have, and I'm still continuing to raise you this way, and I hold you a little bit more closer because you're the last one that I have. And I'm still going to range you deranged like I ranged everybody else. But for them to kind of do the chainsaw and the mask just seemed like very much fan service because it's a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, that we got to do a chainsaw, we got to do the mask. But they made no real, like, purpose for it outside of the fact that he was like, I'm just gonna skin somebody just for the fact of skinning somebody, and oh hey, yeah, I got that chainsaw hitting in the wall for no damn reason. I still believe it's not the same person, but if it is the same person, how the hell, why you didn't leave the chainsaw at the house? And why am I not still using the other mask? I'm sure that like if he skins mask, I'm sure he knows how to preserve skin. I'm sure he's like, you know what, let me keep this around here, put some stuff on it, so that way it lasts throughout the years. It's waterproof, all that stuff. So I was a little, just the aesthetics of making him the murderer that he is in this film, and tying it back to Chainsaw Massacre, they gave no reason for it. Thinking about where Rob Zombie did his, he gave a reason for everything of Michael, why Michael wore the mask, why he wore the jumpsuit, why he had the knife. All of that stuff made sense because he was like, hey, we're going to show it. Let me at least, excuse me, let me at least kind of give some context to it. And we didn't get any context to any of the stuff than why he was doing it outside of
the mother dying.
Yeah, the mother died. And like, yeah, okay, in a sense, but not everybody else was responsible for that. And it's like, I could see getting your vengeance against them. He could have raised a long time ago, right, man. He could have killed the guy that's been working there the whole damn time. Why didn't he kill him?
Was that your last?
I mean, no, I got tons of stuff in the bag.
Go.
I just got on a rant with that one.
Hold on. Let me interject real quick. First of all, as far as him being Gunnar Hansen, that was one of the things as far as continuity that they completely screwed up on, because he is absolutely a younger person. There's no way in hell he's Gunnar Hansen from back in the day, you know, where he's aged that long. You know, Gunnar Hansen, before he passed, rest his soul, he looked like he was older. I mean, he was already an old man.
Even the real life person is dead now.
Exactly. So there is no way that this guy is you're not gonna make me believe that that's technically Gunnar Hansen's character. And
even if you wanted to say this isn't now times, and this is maybe not as far ahead in the future as we think, they're driving a damn Tesla, or we're driving a self-driving vehicle. They're in a self-driving vehicle, so it's now time.
Right.
It's now time. So it's like you can't even like say like, oh, that was the 70s. No, because even the survivor was a grandmother at this point.
Now let's talk about the survivor.
Right.
Now, the actress, obviously, that in the original Marilyn Burns passed away a while back. Now, the actress that took over for her, not saying that she did a bad job, because she didn't, but they were obviously. Her name is Olwen Foray. Hopefully I said that right. It's no fault of her own. But it was kind of, the thing that bothered me about it was when you're looking at a legacy sequel like 2018 Halloween, Laurie Strode was pretty much preparing for when Michael got out, or whatever the case may be, and she was training herself basically with the PTSD fueling her to be ready for when
it
that
all
showdown
made sense. Why?
It made sense why. This particular one, she is already older. She still has this in her heart. She has pictures of her friends from '74 and her brother that passed away. She has all of these memories and all of this, this torment and revenge that she really wants. Why is that house still up? Why wouldn't that house be free? And she's a sheriff. Why would that house exist? I would have burned the shit down. I would have freaking taken my revenge and killed this motherfucker a long time ago for that, because the house did not. That old house shouldn't be freaking standing. That's just my opinion on that. But the formula that they were going for was obviously it was a copycat. And I mean, even her look, minus the cowboy hat, was Jamie Lee Curtis in 2018. So I could not buy into the fact that...
I think they should have cast somebody who's that age and hotter. Because the girl from Seven... Hey, Jamie Lee Curtis is old too, would you say?
Anyway...
Jamie Lee Curtis...
The point I'm making is that even though it is a continuation, obviously you can't have Marilyn Burns, obviously that. But you know, if you can't have her, it's not going to work. It's not going to be the exact same. So why even bother doing that? Because you're just feeding into this ongoing legacy, cliche that you got to bring the originals and all this other stuff, and it just doesn't work because everybody knows she's not the freaking original. So
whoever wrote this movie had just seen Halloween.
Possibly, but either way, I honestly, I don't even think it was the writers. I think it was more the studios freaking like, hey man,
we got to make this more like Halloween.
Yeah, exactly, and it's just not gonna freaking work. So the scene where she finally has him alone in a bedroom and does not pull the trigger befuddles me. I don't understand. She could have ended it
because he doesn't recognize you.
And she comes across as Glenn Close in Fatal Attraction. Oh, I'm not gonna be ignored. and she's basically pouting like a one night stand that is forgotten. And technically it was a one night stand, right? So 40 years later, he doesn't remember that one night stand, and she is all upset about it. And that, like, we had something, and you don't remember me. And the scene does not play out with any kind of freaking substance
In the immortal words of Raul Julia, the day that bison graced your village was the most important day of your life. But for me, it was a Tuesday.
Perfect. And and then I did not understand how he has just slaughtered a crap load of people in a bus, and he just walks past this sheriff and does nothing. It made no sense whatsoever.
And I know you're gonna say like, oh, he's insane, and so like
I don't think he's insane. I think he's just childlike, and
his killing may be random, and I can see how you would say that.
How would you say that if he just freaking slaughtered everybody in the bus?
Because it's random.
Anyway.
And that's how you're gonna explain it away. It's like because it's random. Not all serial killers kill everybody they come across. Sometimes people do get away. Sometimes
he was tired.
Sometimes people, he was like, I just killed a whole bus full of people.
On the bus, man.
Can y'all give me a minute? Let me catch my breath.
Exactly.
It's like, dude, just run on. I'll get you later.
Hey, he comes home to see this one night stand. Mad because
who gave this girl my address?
How do you know where I was? I was trying to get away from you, and now, man, I gotta deal with this shit.
Oh my God!
I gotta hear you nag me that I don't remember you and your friends. It was what I said hi to you at a
party. So, yeah, look, I was really bothered by a lot of that stuff. But one of the things that made me turn the movie off, he made me finish the movie.
Aren't you glad though? You want to see?
Yeah, I would have seen the ending. I want to see the ending. We almost had a whole video about like why you should convince me. Like Art had to convince me to see Matrix Resurrection, which I still didn't do. But I had turned it off because I was really annoyed by the sisters' relationship. It really got on my nerves. I couldn't see the point in it. And I was like, they could just be sisters without this dynamic. Why? They could just be the character who doesn't have a sister. I didn't get what was the point of it outside of the fact that, hey, we're both going to survive and we're going to stay. But I don't even feel like they stood up for each other because there was a scene where she comes in with the gun and it doesn't shoot him. And then she runs off and the sister's still sitting in the car. And when they finally get him down, she don't go back to get the sister. She tries to go back in and go kill him. And I'm like, dude, get in the car. Get the hell out of
here. Exactly. And that's not, there have been, and we just talked about it during prep. And that was that there were so many people that shouldn't have died that night.
That bus scene, like, at least... So there probably were like 15, 20 people on that bus. 3 people should have died.
Yeah.
Everybody else should have got off that
because
bus.
while he was working on them, you be running. Or
you could be stepping over and like, ooh, man, I'm sorry.
Or like you said, there's like 20 or 30 of them. One dude, get on that ass.
Somebody hold the chainsaw. Hey man, you might take one for the team. You gonna get chopped, but we don't survive.
So a lot of people did not have to die that
Yeah, a lot
night,
of people didn't have to die. A lot of people should survive. And God bless this movie. There's a couple things that they did right in this movie, and a whole lot that they did wrong in this movie. And I really wish they didn't try to follow Halloween.
Me neither.
I almost would have felt better if they had just rebooted this and just gave me another reboot, because tying this into the original one, it was just underwhelming. It was like, it gave me so much more expectations, and the time place that it set, because when we saw the bus scene, we saw the sunflower scene when he was in the field.
Leatherface out here taking a shit, remember?
Super ass creepy. I thought this was set further back. I know we were gonna talk about that, like, hey, she's older, but I thought it was still set a little bit further back.
I thought she was the main character. I thought she was the main character, and it all revolved around her.
To where, like, because
it did not.
All it did was say, like, hey, we're now, like, the time frames just didn't make sense in my head, and it made me think too. Like I said, horror movies should be fast paced. They shouldn't be making you think about, like, the things that they're showing you, because then you start finding too many holes. And I started finding holes in this movie, and it made me not like it anymore.
Right. And Sally Hardesty in this movie basically became Dennis Hopper in part 2. So this film, was that all your bads?
Yeah, that's all my bads.
All right, so for, this film was initially stated, according to IMDb, for a theatrical release sometime in 2021, but plans were scrapped due to a string of disastrous test screenings, and it was sold to Netflix.
Of course. This could have made more... Excuse me, sorry. It went down the wrong pipe.
I guess so. Damn you, Leatherface.
Sorry. This movie would have flopped. We'd be talking about, like, Dead of the Week, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's like, because this movie is not good. It's not good. I mean, if you're a big fan of horror, and you're like, I'll watch anything that's horror, good or bad.
You're a fan of the franchise. You're obligated to watch it because you gotta see it. You have to. That's just the way it is.
Look, they showed you everything you wanted to see in that trailer, except for kills.
So you had 16 kills total.
Most of them were on the bus.
Most of them were on the bus. Yeah, 9 were on the bus, 7 were shown.
Oh, so there was only 9 people on the bus.
Yeah,
it felt like it was more.
It
people
felt
on the
like
bus.
it was a lot more. Yeah. Sally's barn and house scene during the introductory scene when she receives the phone call about Leatherface are sets of production from Rambo First Blood or Last Blood. That's interesting.
Huh.
So Rambo's a part of Leatherface. Okay.
There you go.
Okay, so Fede Alvarez spoke about this film's relation to the other sequels and that the film does not explicitly erase the continuity of them, saying
it just says time is going by.
When movies do that, sometimes it feels a bit disrespectful to all the other films. Some people love Chainsaw Massacre 2, I being one of them. I love a lot of things about that movie. That's just what Fede said. So basically, you know, there's pieces of it that says that all of that stuff actually existed.
Yeah. So
if that's the case,
they Fast and Furious for this.
If that's the case, then, you know, hopefully the events of Leatherface 3 Saw His Family is part of this canon.
Okay.
Probably it stops at McConaughey's. I don't know. But either way, that's just some of the stuff. I think it debuted at number 3 on Netflix. Can't stop that Ozark, boy, I tell you. Can't stop that Inventing Anna.
One of the things is that for these films that we, the indie film or the film that we don't expect to be a big blockbuster, Netflix or streaming itself. Excuse me, a streaming platform is a good place for us to get these particular movies out. Because this would have died in the movie theaters. Nobody would have went to go see it.
No.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think so either. Not during a pandemic.
I wouldn't have gone to see this movie. Oh, the trailer might have got me to go see the movie, but I would have been that much more upset because I actually drove someplace to go see this movie.
Spend money for the ticket. Well,
like,
not really, but spend money on food, spend money on this.
Yeah, and it was
sat down, watched it.
I would have been that more upset about this film. And I'm not that much upset because I had to watch it at home, and it's not that big of a deal. It's forgettable for me. I'm not going to be like, oh, you know what? We should watch that Netflix Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I'm going to be looking for the original.
Yeah.
Nothing has really gotten me to except for the Rob Zombie one. Not the Rob Zombie one. That was Halloween. The Michael Bay one.
Michael Bay one. That was excellent. That was really good.
Yeah, and it's like, so not much has really gotten me wanting to see anything besides the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, except for the Michael Bay, because I really did like the Michael
Part
Bay
two.
because
Part 2 was awesome, man.
what was the drill sergeant?
Oh, Arlie Ermy.
There you go. I can't remember his name. Hey, I loved his character in the movie. So those are the only two I really care. And there's a lot of Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies. I feel like that's the underrated sequel-heavy movie that nobody really talks about because everybody keeps trying to redo the first one or trying to like force everything in within that small timeline.
And again, it takes us back to Halloween, Ghostbusters Afterlife, and all its Force Awakens, and all of these that are just capitalizing on the original and not giving anything really new, or maybe you'll get a little bit of subtleties as far as the newness, but overall you're gonna get kind of like a rehash, and that's what sucks about it. Now in this one, obviously it's a brand new. It kind of strays from the formula, as far as the cannibals and all that stuff. So it's based on that. I'll give them that. As far as I can throw that in the good. As far as originality,
we don't really know because maybe he just wasn't hungry that day.
But that's true. But from an originality standpoint, it is, you don't see the chili scenes or the dinner scenes, because you saw 2 dinner scenes. You saw one in part 1, part 1 and part 2, and there were plenty of other dinner scenes. You had no dinner scenes here.
No, because there was no family. It was just him.
Right, and I guess from an original standpoint, I did like that. That was fine. He was the central. There were no surrounding characters on his side.
You felt like they were trying to get to it faster by just doing that, so that way we didn't have to deal with the weird, creepy family. It was like we're gonna immediately go right to Leatherface, but I feel like there wasn't enough setup for it, and they were literally trying to say like, hey, stuff you like, mask, chainsaw, and somehow he can survive being shot multiple times and stabbed.
Yeah. And you were talking about that during prep too, as far as like, is he supernatural
like
now?
A mortal person? Because in the original one he was mortal,
and that throws you off. That throws you off on this whole thing, because you're turning Leatherface into something completely different than who he really is, and I had a problem with that too.
And his invincible chainsaw that got shot 3 times
and still
works. He even threw it at a vehicle.
It still works.
It still works.
Anyway,
I need that chainsaw.
But yeah, so
that had a Black & Decker like sign on. They could have got some more money out of this movie. They could have got sponsored by Black & Decker.
If obviously it's gonna do better at home.
Yeah,
it's gonna do better at home. I'm pretty sure that it's got a crap load of views on Netflix.
Netflix may make a sequel to this if it's got a bunch of streams.
It's a possibility it could. They just need to get better at the writing, and then we'll go from there. So that's all I got for that. You got anything else?
I call.
All right, then let's go. Terrence, take us home.
All right, man. Can A24 and Ghost House and
Bloomhouse and
can they just start doing these movies? I don't want to see them by anybody else because nobody does them better than they do. And I was like, I feel like like back in the day with New Line. I wanted to see everything from New Line.
Can you strike a deal between Bloomhouse and Clive Barker and get me Hellraiser or Nightbreed?
Oh my God, that'd be so great. Oh yeah, so anyway, we're talking about how we're leaving this episode. So make sure you put your comments if you've seen it, and if you just watched a little bit of it, just tell me what you felt about what you did see, because once again, I was like you. I didn't watch the whole thing. Literally, we procrastinated because he made me watch the rest of the movie before I got to do this.
And it paid off with the buzz scene and the ending.
Hey, when we do another top 5 kills for not Halloween movies, but for horror movies, that one might be.
We don't have Leatherface's top 5 kills.
No, we did top 5.
We did
Halloween,
Freddy, Jason,
and
Michael.
Yeah, so maybe
we'll do it this year.
There you go. That actually sounds good. Make sure you put your comments in the comments below, as well as make sure you subscribe, as well as click the notification button, so that way you're aware of all the other videos that we do on the channel.
This has become the curse of Michael Myers of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where it had the best kills and the crappy movie.
Look.
Oh man.
And the same thing happened because I left in the middle of the curse of Michael Myers.
There you go.
Yeah, so I mean, I didn't have to go anywhere. I just turned it off. I actually had to get up, walk out, go back to my car, drive all the way home, and be upset about the fact that I watched half of that movie.
So we're gonna go ahead and dedicate this episode to a guy named Matt out there, my horror brother, our buddy Roy, who's a big horror fan, and of course Aspen, my lovely daughter. Yeah, this one's for you. Leave us a comment below and let us know what you think of the 2022 version of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. For our Aspen and Carla, wherever the hell they're at, I'm Manny.
I'm Terrence.
And we'll see you next time.
Guys, you're still with us? Great. I know it's the end of the year, and I know you guys are in the holiday spirit, the spirit of giving, right? So we're asking you to give us money. So if you look down below, you'll see where it says patreon.com/thegoods. right there is if you have an excess amount of cash laying around, if you have not bought enough Christmas presents and you're wondering, who else can I bring joy to this year? Us. That's who you can bring joy to. Have you ever looked at us and you're like, man, they should get a better camera? You're right, because we don't have enough money to. You can help us do that. Patreon.com/thegoods. Help us out. We'd appreciate it. And you can be a part of the goods yourself.